regarding the real theme, real situation and scenario regarding peace and conflict. TMSS is a multi-sectorial organization that is doing so many activity. And now the organizational total member is 55 lakhs. That is 5.5 million family is the member of TMSS. And now the very active member of TMSS is 1.2 million family, and other member family are phased out due to we have no sufficient financial arrangement for them. They are in. So this organization is very large, and these organizations are working overall the country, that is 64 districts. And in this very August session, I would like to say everybody very well known about peace and conflict. The main source of peace is individual mind. First of all, peace should be generated or destroyed or hampered by individual mind. Mind peace penetrate to body of individual, family, society, nation, and overall world. TMSS is one of the best example of established peace from individual to world as women and environment friendly organization. TMSS is formed by women and for women, and we are working so many activity, but majority of activity is afforestation, plantation. We know the plantation, that is tree, is the central point of peace. Hinduism, Buddhism, Sufism, all the religious moralities and peace is generated under the tree. So we are with tree, and we getting 4-time national first award for plantation and afforestation by TMSS. The history of TMSS proved that grassroots people are foundation of peace, so everybody should care about them. According to Islam, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ, meaning all human beings are dignified. People's peaceful contribution makes great and sustainable peace situation. At present, 1,600 office we have, and 32,000 staff we have under TMSS. 31 educational institutions and more than 20 commercial venture for avoiding the donor dependency under TMSS. Educational institution, among educational institution, we have university, we have madrasa, we have medical college, so many categories of educational institution we have. The ill health and sick people are suffering from disease which destroys peace. So TMS is running 1,000-bedded hospital and about 100 primary healthcare center for making healthy society, and prevention is better than cure. As prevention is better than cure. If primarily we finish the disease, first of all, disease should not be very big disease, very serious stage. Primary stage is very simple. So primary healthcare center is very important. Our development friendly government is doing this. Community clinic is everywhere. So it is very appreciated by people like poor people. And in our country, 50% of the people are women. They are very hardship women. They are very innocent. They are very honest. So they should recognize by the society, by the nation. But they are suffering so many area, and they are suffering for their essential requirement. That is why TMSs are very much scared, very much give attention to the women. The organization is Tangamara Mohila Sobuz Sangho. That means TMSS. Mohila means woman. And we know working capital is most important. All access to the finance is very important, but for the poor people, potential people, they have no access to the finance due to their they are situated in the remote area, remote position. That's why we are doing financial activity, which is microfinance activity, and we are running big financial activity. Our financial activity, microfinance, is not microcredit only. We are doing health activity, education activity, and financial support. So our name of our credit program is HEM, Health, Education, and Microfinance. And microfinance means the fund for the poorest of the poor. The name of microfinance is Faithful Fund, Easy Fund, and Appropriate Fund for the poor. In time fund for the poor. Jobless, workless mind called mind of devil. violence and damage peace and increase conflict. That's why we are doing so many business and industry and program, so that the labor intensive activity rather than capital intensive activity. Running about 22,000 Samiti overall country, and the Samiti meeting will held weekly or in some area monthly. In the Samiti meeting, our main agenda is peace and conflict. So we are very much concerned with peace and conflict. Political unrest, all these are the anti-peace factor. So we are very concerned with the that issue, and we are doing so many work for welfare for Rohingya. Government is the main authority to develop the country as peaceful nation. So TMSS and other NGO are very abide by the government. All religious emphasize to human being, particularly the Islam call the mandatory activity for the ain, which is serving to the deserving people, is called Haqqul Ibad. Work for the deserving people, serving for the deserving people is for the ain. Many of so-called pious Muslims avoid Haqqul Ibad and doing Haqqullah only. Avoiding Haqqul Ibad, doing Haqqullah, we think it is not accurate. It is not ideal. As Haqqul Ibad is very important and very careful and serious, but Haqqullah may be relaxable, and this declaration is coming from God. So, but the Muslim people think that Haqqul Ibad is not important, Haqqullah is important. So the poverty is increased, conflict is increased, so many problem is increased, resulting hampering space. Among education, avoiding the moral education, only unhealthy competition is running. That is one of the cause for hampering peace. Productive, honest person are not properly awarded by the awarded, that hampering peace and enhancing conflict. Productive people, honest people, but they are not awarded by the nation, by the society. And those who are not honest, not productive, but pious, but doing Haqqullah only, they are awarded. And in the society, we should doing psychosocial activity and corresponding with all the communities people. We should doing counseling what we do through our somitis, our network. And I think my time is over. So this is my ideas coming from our people, grassroots level people, and I am practitioner. I am not academician. I am doing in field level activity. I am suffering so many problem, and all problem are originated from hampering peace and conflict. So I am very grateful to this authority to give me the chance to say something regarding peace and conflict. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Husnera. I think she was highlighting particularly peace from individuals to the society and how to look at and mitigate the issues related to the individuals in order to develop a society which is without peace and conflict. I don't know whether any society in the world is without peace and conflict, but this is one strategy that she has been practicing for quite long. Thank you very much. May I now invite Mr. Shamal Dotto, is editor of one of the well-circulated newspaper, Bhor Kagoj. Obviously, everyone, the reason we put together this particular session is to get individual opinions for everyone to learn different aspects of peace and conflict. So let me welcome Mr. Shamal Dotto.
Is my mic working? I'm not sure. Thank you. I'm same what Madam Husnara said, that I'm not an academician too. I'm just a practicing journalist. For my last 30 years of journalism career, what I experience, what I see, that I will share with all of you. And one of my senior journalists also here, Mr. Farooq Faisal, he was very leading. Now he's escaping from us. That's what we are seeing, that he wants to go underground, not come to the surface. But still we follow what's happening in the society and that. So I have nothing written here because it's my personal thought that I will share with all of you as a peace and conflict and being an editor of a newspaper and the reality what we face every day. Very recent experience I will share with you first. You know, very recently we published one report in my paper on Madrasa Education Board. The report is that there are some vulgarity in the books. So Madrasa Education Board form a committee, and books of amount of around 25 crore has been put up from the market. So one of my reporter, he got this and he bring it to me and said that this is a very interesting news. Make it a news in the front page. So the news was published in my paper. Hey, there is a big procession in front of National Press Club that you people, your name is Shamal Dotto and your reporter name is Abhijit Bhattacharya. How you two dare to write report on madrasa? And you are saying vulgar to some of the elements, which is actually hadith actually. Even I don't know, is it hadith or not? Because I don't have an idea. Being a Hindu, I don't know what is hadith or what is not. But some of the elements which actually the thought that is a Bhalga. I heard that later there is a Harit. So even they demand my hanging in a rally in front of National Press Club, where I am the executive committee member of National Press Club, in front of that. And that declared that my office will be attacked if within 1 week I was not arrested. And almost 21 legal notice has been served. And such a derogatory remarks on the legal notice that you people are Hindu, you are a Hindu, and your reporter is a Hindu, but you are writing. I'm just mentioning only for one reason. You know that we are living in such a conflicting society in Bangladesh, and our reality is so different. It's also different from country to country. It's of course, from my reality is different from others. This happening and in Bangladesh because of so other reasons are there. Our politics so volatile, our so strong, and even no accommodating approach from political leaders, those who want to go to power or those who are remaining in the power right now. So these conflicts is creating a lot of tension. Another election is coming very soon, within 1 year. And everybody apprehending that there will be something very big in the coming days. Nobody knows what will happen. So these conflicting mindset always remaining in the people's mind. And the peace, what we're talking about, that's a very, very far cry and very, I think it's a tough time for the people of this country to believe that we don't know what happened in next 10 years. We don't have any system and rooted in our country that we know that next 10 to 20 years, the people will be run by these systems. Still, we don't know how an election could be held in a country. A major political party demand that there should be a neutral caretaker government should be to conduct the election. But the ruling party is saying that not like that in the constitution. So a major political differences is there. So these conflicts is a political conflicts. There are conflicts in various nature. Even you see then in last week, there is a conflict between on the Istama issue. Two groups are fighting in the Istama, and it's the only issue of two followers groups. And what happened, because I live in Kakrail, I see that whole day there's a fighting in Kakrail Mosque. And you see the compromising approach of the government. A very busy road, the airport road, was captured by some followers group for 6-7 hours. But nobody said anything to them. And government has surrendered to their demand. And one big gentleman who came from India, Mr. Kandal, he have to left the country without addressing the gathering. So we are seeing these things is a very ground reality in Bangladesh, where conflicts are very much strong. Some of the conflicts are very religious. Some of the conflicts are very political. And some of the conflicts are very social even. And the challenge of technology, that I will say is another challenge for us. If you go to Facebook, just search my name, Shyamol Dotto. You just see what's happening there. Because every day I talk to television, and a lot of followers, they support me. At the same time, a lot of followers, they hate me. You just go search and in my name, you can see that what's happening in there. This is another challenge of the technology when are very important for us. 3 incidents happened in Bangladesh only for Facebook. One is in Ramu in 2012. One is in Brahmanbaria, Nasirnagar in 2014. One is in very recently in Nasirnagar, in Rangpur, Thakurpara. And Facebook is such a thing, is such a platform. You can use anybody's name. Even I heard that I don't use Facebook. But I heard that in my name, there are several pages in the Facebook, and a lot of posters are there. You can give anything, any derogatory remarks there. So this technology, what we are enjoying right now, we are sometimes feel very proud that we have this 5-inch and 3 inches machine. We call it mobile. And 130 million people use this mobile. And 70 million people internet. 4.7 million people using, 47 million people using Facebook. Is a remarkable progress. But at the same time, what's happening without any regulatory framework? The technology intervene in your peace and conflict situation. And today I was talking with some young people, and they are saying that when election will come, do we ready for facing the challenge of the internet and Facebook? What will happen at that time? What conflict it will distribute it to the voters' mind? So these are the challenges I think we have. I think we have to address a lot of issues in our country. And at the same time, as I was talking about the Rohingya, I was a diplomatic correspondent for a long time. I covered these issues from 1991, and I was one of the first few journalists who visited Rohingya camp just after the incident happened in 25th August. Next day, I was in Cox's Bazar. I visited some camps, and I'm seeing that people are coming. Because I am from Chittagong, and I am from South Chittagong. Our some sort of relation, I can say myself, claim myself as a Rohingya too. There was as a business in Arakan state. And those who know the history, they are aware about that in 1950s, there was a big movement was there. And you can have some idea of that incident in Sharat Chandrer Upannashe kichu kichu tar Bornona আছে. Some expression was there. So I understand their language, being a South Chittagonian. You know that even in Chittagonian language, there are very different from dialects from South Chittagong and North Chittagong. Even in Chittagong, the other side of the Kornofuli River, they speak in different dialect. In Cox's Bazar, speak in different dialect. And Bashkale people or Shatkania people don't speak in the same dialect. Yeah. So these are new realities. And, you know, the amount of Rohingya people is now in around more than 1 million. They are living in a very open space. They are mixing with the local reality. And our government has taken an approach that they will bilaterally solve this problem. The question is that whether how much it will give you the positive result. Our Prime Minister has given 5 points in the UN Assembly. Even I saw that when our Foreign Ministry has a discussion with the Myanmar Authority, they are not taking the whole issue on that 5 point even. I don't know why is some sort of hurriness in the government to start some sort of repatriation process which will not end any result at all. So this will be another problem for Bangladesh. I'm sure that it's not an easygoing issue and it's not an easy solving issue. The result of this dialogue will not come very soon. Day before yesterday was the deadline for starting repatriation, but that was not started. And Myanmar is blaming even Bangladesh for that they are not, Bangladesh is not helping for repatriation. And very interesting, my observation is that the whole world is annoyed with Myanmar. But have you seen any decision from the world community that they have some embargo or economic issue on Myanmar? Nothing else. But when a simple gunman's incident in Bangladesh happened, there are many groups in Europe and America, they stand up with a placard that don't take anything from Bangladesh. But is there any economic embargo on Myanmar after such atrocities? And what UN agency is saying that is a textbook definition of ethnic cleansing. But what is their role on creating pressure on Myanmar Authority? Nothing else. They have a very big friend like China. They have a very big friend like India. And even Russia is doing business with Myanmar. So if these three big power with Myanmar, what will be the fate of Rohingya? And what this 1 million people will do in Bangladesh? And I know that 1 million people in Bangladesh, they can be very devastating force for any country. It will be a problem for India even. India is not how to realizing that, but ultimately it will be a big problem for them also. Even in the next election, I believe Rohingya has a very strong influence. Okay, let's see what happens. And thank you for that. I would like to stop it that way. If you have any question, I am ready to answer later on. Thank you, Nambai.
Thank you, Jamal Datta. Everyone see him, particularly those who are coming from Malaysia and outside. He is a TV star. So every night, 11 o'clock, you see him talking in one of the channels, quite popular. So people see him in person. That's a good intervention. Let me now invite a scholar, Mr. Niaz Ahmed. He has been working on conflict and peace issues for long, and he's a very quiet person. Obviously, most people do not know him, but he's a good academic, and I expect some good discussion from him. Mr. Niaz Ahmed.
Thank you. I would like to first thank the organizers for inviting me to this session. And before I start, I would like to take on Shamal Datta, who just said what she's experiencing. Need to know first is Bangladesh a secular country? If we know that definition, then we can answer half the question what Shamal is trying to say. We are still not sure whether we are a secular country or not. If we are, then I don't think Shamal will face the problem that we are facing now. So the government has to decide whether we are a secular country or not. Now, I was told that I'm supposed to speak on the Rohingya issue. Right. The Rohingya crisis is probably the largest humanitarian disaster and displacement of people in recent times. If we're talking about peace and conflict, with peace in inverted comma as the final goal, we have to take into account its implications regionally and internationally. And peace itself is quite a unique term, because I believe that we are having conflict in with Myanmar, but we need to have a resolution, some form of coexistence. First, I will consider the local aspects of the crisis in Cox's Bazar. And Shamal will probably correct me if I'm wrong. It's roughly about 300,000 people in Cox's Bazar.
No,
half a million?
Whole Cox's Bazar district is around more than 1 million.
All right.
But the Rohingya became more than that.
Okay, the number of refugees is more than the local population. So there is a risk of low-level, low-intensive conflict over resource competition. For instance, access to health. There are reports of some of the refugees who may not be in camps working for lower than the market wage, involvement in crimes like drug peddling, may create further hostility within the local community. Bangladesh is basically, as we know, is a developing country and has shown extremely extraordinary social and economic growth in the recent years, with a record of 7.2% and a reducing poverty of 1% every year. But this growth and stability may be constrained by the large number of refugees and the may have in not solving them. Bangladesh has proved to be a model country for the international community for counterterrorism. There is a risk of our counterterrorism success has been compromised if there is some involvement of Rohingyas in violent extremist group. Here I want to be cautious, and I'm not saying all refugees are terrorists. Some get involved in violent extremism Let's now look at the regional aspect between Myanmar and Bangladesh. There is an insurgency campaign by ARSA. No matter what the size is, there are more Rohingyas now in Bangladesh than on the other side of the border. There is a risk of part of the insurgency campaign shifting to Bangladesh territory. The Bangladesh government is committed to a zero tolerance policy that states our territory will not be used by any group to attack another country. If some elements of ARSA use Bangladeshi territory, the Bangladesh government will have no choice but to take action against them. This will affect the stability in the region, more and potentially complicate relationship with Myanmar. Bangladesh, under leadership of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, has shown the highest level of compassion and humility in dealing with the crisis. Now it is the turn for other countries in ASEAN and the wider international community to do their bit. Conflict is never confined to borders and will not only affect Bangladesh in the long run. The moral responsibility for peace and a better future for Rohingyas cannot lie only with Bangladesh. Though Bangladesh is bearing the brunt of the crisis, there are Rohingyas refugees now in the diaspora across the world, especially in the Middle East and Southeast Asia. The crisis is bound to have impacts on the diaspora indirectly that might not serve the purpose of the host countries. Lastly, when we talk about peace and conflict, we cannot detach it from humanitarian issues. Bangladesh, under the present leadership, understands the implication. But we had no choice but to take a humanitarian approach. At some point, we need to look at peace and conflict. There are approximately 70,000 pregnant. Those 70,000 will be born and will be in dire needs for maternity care in the immediate future. About their future. Another long-term aspect is if the international community does not pressure on Myanmar, it will send a wrong signal to other countries, and it will be an incentive for right-wing groups in other countries from Europe to Africa to do the same, send out citizens who they feel don't belong or not us. Instability and tension across the world. I just read a newspaper article today that the Indian High Commissioner has said that they're building houses for the returnees of the Rohingyas. I don't know when the Rohingyas will return and stay in that houses. So that is the question that India needs to ask themselves, because destabilize Bangladesh would have major impact on India. It will destabilize India's 7 sisters. So it is in interest that we need to look. They need to look to Bangladesh's problem. As far as Samuel was saying, Russia, Chinese, they do business with. It's got an open port. I don't see, they even veto the proposition that we put up in the United Nations. So I don't think that we would be getting immediate help from them. And will have a major impact in the next couple of years, because I don't think this crisis is likely to be resolved. Yes. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Niaz, for this beautiful speech. We are going to open the floor, but I thought I'm tempted to request Dr. Bijay Barua to say his minds, because I think we have heard from different angles, and Bijay Barua is also coming. He's not a Rohingya, I hope. So Dr. Bijay Barua, he's a professor of sociology. So he has his eyes in a different way. So let me hear from Dr. Bijay Barua.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I was not actually prepared. First, let me tell you one thing, in that I was actually I'm a former delegate of Red Cross. my identity is a former delegate of Red Cross, Swiss Red Cross International Cooperation Division. I did work for the 9 years. And I still remember that 1978, when first Rohingya came into the, I was working at that time very young, around 24 years old or 25 years old. I did work in the camp with the Rohingya people for around a year with the League of Red Cross and International High Commission for Refugees. At that time, I had a different experience I encountered, and I did work with some of the Rohingya leaders at that time. And first of all, in the first camp, I was deployed or deputed or posted in a Gumdum camp, which is, you know, that very popular camp nowadays, and in Cox's Bazar area. When I was posted after a few months, I had to move out from that camp. Just me to the president of the country at that time, that he is a Buddhist and then he's treating us badly, which I didn't know that. My chief delegate was Canadian, David Jankin. He was investigated. He didn't find anything else. And then he called me one day. He said, Mr. Barua, you need to leave this camp. I said, why? Because we are concerned about your security. I said, I didn't do anything wrong. Move out from that, okay? So you have to go another camp. There, your colleague, friend will be there, camping chairs. Would you mind? I said, I don't mind at all. And I went down. So I was working. Then there I met a couple of Rohingya, educated Rohingya. One is a Munir. His name is, Muslim name is Munir, but his Burmese name is Maknir. He's a gold medalist in electrical engineering from Rangoon. He's called Mangtas. So I had a wonderful time with them, and I employed them and in the camp as a storekeeper or two storekeepers, both brothers. And they were explaining the situation. It is said, those who were faced like you. I have a bit Burmese face actually, and Malaysian face also. But he's like Indian. We had a terrible time there, encounter at that time. And the Moknir was an engineer. He was based in Rangoon, but suddenly came to Mungdu to see his parents. And then he was caught. He said, I said, what's your plan? Would you like to hear? He said, no, I would go back because as soon as I go back to Mungdu, I'll go to Yangon. Then I have no problem. So that is one thing. And then I posted to another camp as a camp teacher. So I'm telling from the historical perspective. And then I met Abdul Rahman and a couple of others. He said I was in a naval commander in the Burmese government. So I moved out from there. And then I came 10 years ago, but still I do work for the people. And then they said that now I live in the Malumghat area. I was discussing with Mr. Shamal that he was saying that he's not going back to the Burma. At that time he said, I'm going back to Malumghat. I said, why? So I have a place to stay there. So I go back to that. So by saying that, but then also I be tempted to work in Yangon, actually in Burma. I did work in actually Karen State. Until last year, I had a project actually in Karen State. I do work with the Karen communities. If you look the history of, and then you see that 1930s and from the Second World War, and the British colonial administrations, since their arrival in Burma, they divide and rule. And that was a problematic. They have around 35 ethnic communities in whole Burma. And if you look the 1930s, should have gone. And also 40s and 60s came out, regardless of any religious identity, because they treat them as Rohingya. You are not from here. You are not a native. You are not a native community from here, whether you are Muslims or Hindus, even in the Buddhist. In my village I came from, there are 50% people used to live in Rangoon because they used to do the business. Other 50% people used to work in Calcutta for those who are educated enough. So Rangoon people are those who are from my village living in Rangoon. They are doing business and living. They have to come back. Also, some of the people used to work for the postal department. They came out. Some of them married also Burmese Burman women, and they had a terrible time. So even they couldn't stay. They left their wife. They brought off their male children because Burmese women preferred to keep their daughters. So that was a unique situation, and they're in conflict, divide and policy. For example, If you look to the Karen history, political history of Karen communities in southeast of part of the Burma and close to the Chiang Mai border, the Karen people did work for British colonial administration. And during the Second World time, they fought against Japan. And then at that time, British government said that we'll give you the independence. But when British government was giving independence to Burma, they didn't give. Although the Korean community went down to the England, plead for an independence and independent country, a nation state, they didn't allow. But unfortunately, and that Korean people since 1949, they've been struggling for their rights and justice. And you see that if you look to the other perspective, I think, friends, although I studied economics, but I don't know any in economics at the moment, just because you see the Korean community are well educated, westernized, medical doctors, engineers, and professors, and missionaries. If you go to in Chiang Mai area, you will find at least 80,000 to 100,000 people, Korean people who are Burmese origin, they are living. If you go to even Bangkok, you will find many Nepali Burmese. They don't go back because they're working in. If you go to, I want to give an example. If you go to Sukhumvit area, Monica's kitchen, you will find around 10 Nepali Rohingyas, Nepali Burmese. They are working. If you go to Toronto, you will find many Burmese, the Bangladeshis, Hindu communities, because they were pushed out and they are in difficult situation. They didn't come back to Bangladesh. They said, we cannot speak Bangla. Rather, we try to speak in English. So there are huge conflicting situation dividing in policy, which was actually germinated, planted by the British colonial administration. We need to think on this. Coming to the local context, what Mr. Shamal Datta said, I have a real, I speak to people because I was born in Cox's Bazar, but my parents are from Rauzan, so northern part, but still, as I born in Cox's Bazar, I also communicate in a Rohingya language also, and I was in the camp also. I speak to my journalist friend there because once I was a reporter of Janapot, long time ago, of Abdul Kafaz Chaudhary. So I have a curiosity to work with them. I call them. He said, then some of my students does work. Some of my students do work actually at the camp, Rohingya camp at the moment. They said, sir, we are from Cox's Bazar. And you see, they are more than us. And you go, our economic situation is shaping bad. Why? You see, if they find, any people find for agriculture worker with less money, less payment, they hire Rohingyas. Our situation is a very difficult situation. So one has to think on that perspective also. What I'm saying is that because our mind was colonized actually. Colonialism can destroy your peaceful mind. But I'm talking about from the Buddhist perspective, Ahimsa, nonviolence is the basic principle of happiness, gross happiness, and the peaceful mind, not to create any conflict in situations. Chitta Shikha in Pali called, consciousness of mind, and also contemplation of mind, a very important thing in Buddhist learning process. So it's saying that whatever is happening in Myanmar, also in other countries, also in Thailand, also you'll find that those who are Thai, also they are also having difficulties now at the moment in the globalized world.
Thank you. I think the floor is now open for questions. I have a request from Farooq Faisal from TMSS. Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. I'm glad that I came to this session for reasons. One is that I'm learning. Second is that I'm meeting all these intellectuals and academicians. And I have my friends here. I know Dr. Husnara for a long time. I'm working with her on and off, and now I'm working. And I'm also those issue because I used to be a journalist, and I work very closely with Bijoy Boruada as well. To start with, I used to be a journalist in Bangladesh. But I would not say the next word that I'm going to say, that I had the opportunity. I don't know how I formed this sentence. I worked in Northern Ireland during the time of conflict. I worked in Nepal during the time of conflict. I worked in Sri Lanka, Honduras, Guatemala. And very recently, I'm coming from Afghanistan. So mother of all conflict, I think, is there. So my point is a little bit different. When we talk about peace and conflict, I think we need another word with it called security. Peace, conflict, and security. The security is a basic right of a citizen or person. We can have peace, there could be absence of conflict, but if we cannot ensure the security, then we are not in peace. That's my number one point. My second point is that peace is not only absence of war and conflict. Peace is more than that. It's economical peace, it's mental peace, it's different kind of peace that we need to look at. My another point is that we cannot look at any conflict or any war or anything without taking a special attention or consideration about women, gender. Gender is an issue of adolescents, girls, and the children. Conflict affect women differently. I have seen it with my own eyes, and I have worked on it. UN Security Council Resolution 1325 makes it clear that gender aspect should be taken into consideration by all parties. It could be government, non-state actors, anybody. Bangladesh has ratified this, but Bangladesh has not developed the plan of action. All countries need to have a national plan of action. Actually, TMSS ED was present when we invited 3 ambassadors, including Canadian ambassador and representative of Minister of Foreign Affairs. They said that they will work on it, but it hasn't been done. So this is a point that I think civil society has a big role to put pressure on the government to come up with a plan of action. Okay, my second point, to be brief, about Rohingyas. With all due respect, I disagree with Mr. Niaz Ahmed's many points. But one is, he mentioned that Bangladesh is in conflict with Myanmar. Bangladesh is not in conflict with Myanmar. Rohingyas have been displaced by their own government, and they had to cross the border, and Bangladesh is taking the burden. So that's my point. My last point is that I have also seen refugee issues in different countries and how it was resolved or non-resolved. We are very eager to send back the Rohingyas. I think it's not going to happen. We are also like to color Rohingyas as criminals and terrorists, and possibly they will do all kinds of things. Many Bangladeshis in 71 went to India and didn't come back. And they are not terrorists. Some of them could be terrorists. Some of them could be thieves, pickpocketer, I don't know. But we cannot generalize a whole group of people as a possible threat to a nation. So we have to look at that. Bhutan one time pushed all the Nepali origin Bhutanese. These Bhutanese came to Nepal in Jhapa. The solution was that Australia, Canada, and USA took all the refugees out of Nepal and brought them to their own countries. So we don't know what will happen to these Rohingya people. It could be like Biharis. We wanted to send all the Biharis back to Pakistan, and Pakistan did not take it. Now we don't talk about Biharis. They are absorbed in our society. They can get the passport and everything. The last one is that maybe it will be like Lebanon and Jordan. Like these Palestinian refugees, they're living there years after years after years. So this is not a one-kind solution that we can go to. My last point is that one of the criteria for lasting peace is that all stakeholders should be involved in the negotiation. Now the negotiation is happening between Bangladesh government and Myanmar government. Where is the voice of the Rohingya people? Rohingya people should have a say around the negotiation table as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your intervention. I think he has given a different perspective. I think panelists, you want to, you want to respond to it?
Thank you. I would correct my friend. I did not say that there was a conflict between Bangladesh and Myanmar. I said that this is a problem between Myanmar and Bangladesh. But it is not a bilateral problem. It is a multilateral problem, right? Multi-country problem, where India will be involved. I did not say again that all Rohingyas are bad. I said few. If you look at one of the news items that came out a couple of months back from Times of India, they found Rohingyas in Kashmir, right? So when we talk about a stateless group of people, we now assume that they could be problematic. We cannot equate 71 with what is happening now, right? Or that it may sound a bit odd, but I don't think what happened in Bhutan that you take all the people away, because there is an anti-Islamic phobia going around the world, right? So this is not going to take place. This is a problem that we Bangladeshis need to look into very deeply, because come this election, it is going to have a major impact whether you like it or I like it, right? My brother said that he had been to the Rohingya camp in the 70s. And if I'm not wrong, the first NGO that went there was a Kuwaiti-based NGO called, what was that? A Kuwaiti-based NGO, right? And then they started doing the madrasa things. What I'm saying is, Rabat al-Islam, Saudi-based organization. They were the first people to go. No, they're not the first people. No, the first NGO that went there. Now, you're saying that the Rohingya people need to be one of the stakeholders. I could not agree more with you. But the ground reality is, that is the ground reality. Because on one hand, you have the Indians or get their wrist slapped badly, like they were done once before, right? They Bangladesh. But on the other hand, they would not like to get the grips of Myanmar as well. Because the Chinese are there, the Russians are playing their own stake there. And I'm sure the US is, hanging high and dry somewhere along the line. Is have to solve this problem. You might talk about a national goal or a national agenda. Do we have one? We do not have a national agenda on whether we should have, there should be a mic there or mic there. How do you expect us to have a national consensus on this? As Shamal said, we can't even, one gentleman comes from India with which we have nothing to do. And I know my daughter got stuck for 9 hours in that bloody jam, right? We had nothing to do with, we Muslims have nothing to do with what Tabligh is trying to do, or which Maulana or whoever is coming. Why is he been barred? Ask 99% of the people, they don't know. But the conflict is there. Somebody somewhere there along the line has just asked some Maulanas to go there. And this government, I think, has been a bit too softy on people like them. It's time that they revert back to their original position if they really want us to go and support them. But anyway, we have no option but to support them. Thank you.
I just want to add one thing. Today is the 26th January, and it's Indian Republic Day. And you know who are the guests of the Indian Republic Day? All the 10 head of government of ASEAN states, and including Malaysian Prime Minister and Aung San Suu Kyi also invited. They are in the same dais right now. But I saw the Najib Rajak's public meeting in Kuala Lumpur. How much he is arrogant on that. But they are in the same platform. You see, politics is such a thing where all are in the same platform, are we getting a proper response from the ASEAN countries on the Rohingya issues? I think day after tomorrow, Indonesian president will come and they'll visit Rohingya camp. Turkish is coming and she's crying almost. But if you ask them to take some Rohingya refugee there, they'll not agree. This is a reality. And today I'm just seeing a clip. You see that India is showing their military strength in the Republic Day parade, and the guests are Aung San Suu Kyi and Najib Razak. That's the reality.
Hello. Yes, I want to share 2 points. You see, if you look back there, actually 2 weeks ago, the televisions in Bangladesh or BBC, you saw that in Burma, in Rakhine state area, some of the Buddhists, they are not Rakhine or Burman. 9 Buddhists were killed at the temple area, and around 140 was wounded, hospitalized. Second thing, when my brother Faisal was explaining about the coping or adjusting the people, it's not a national integration. They will have to, these Rohingya people will naturally integrated. You see, the Rohingya people who came in 1992 still in the camp of the Kutupalong camp. Last year, no, in the 2015, we went to Kuakata when we are with the Professor Nanamul Hawk. We are traveling to Sundarban area, and then we came we are coming back. The engine boat driver, he's from when he speaking with another fellow, I realized he's a Rohingya guy. So I started speaking Rohingya, and he said he's from Rohang. So he said, "How come you came to Borguna area?" He said, "I married here." So married here, and he said that according to the information, now I cannot trace him out, 150 Rohingya young people went down to that area. They married Rohingya, the people and the women from them from Borguna area settled down. And he has also, at that time he was explaining, he has also wife from Rohang. So he's monthly, every month he goes back to Cox's Bazar, also send the money to Rohang. So unfortunately, I don't know these days what's happening with his wife there. So that's interesting questions also. Automatically, because if you look back the 60s, there are a Furika party in that area, Cox's Bazar belt area, who was anti those who were involved in the movement and the resistance movement at that time. They all settled down in Cox's Bazar. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for all the intervention. I have one more hands here, Professor Syed Farhat Anwar.
Well, I'll just point out a few things, the points that you made. Just for your information, I'm sure you're aware of it. Not all Biharis have been accepted, and not all Biharis have also wanted to be part of Bangladesh. And the Biharis who have not, they're still creating a problem. So you don't need the entire nation or entire community to be doing something wrong. Bangladesh did not do anything. I mean, Bangladeshis, for that matter, did not do anything when the Hodi artisan incident took place. There were only a couple of people, but they destroyed the image like nobody's business. So you don't need too many people to do that. So this is one particular point that we need to be very aware of. The second is, being a business professor, I always look at it from who gains from this particular issue. That is the question that I think we need to raise. And well, I was doing my own sort of analysis in terms of who gains most when disasters take place. And I find that right now, the NGOs are gaining more than anyone else. And if you really come up and discuss the issues with the NGOs, and they'll come up and talk about all the humanitarian issues, are we actually discussing that? Do they actually perform the task they're supposed to perform? If an NGO exists for a lifetime, then I say they've done nothing, absolutely nothing. That is the way I look at it. Who are the next one who would gain out of it? If, God forbid, a military conflict does take place, then those who are in the business of arms are going to gain. So the question that we are raising is, will India gain? Well, of course they would, if they are selling arms. Will the Russians gain? Of course they would. The Chinese, of course they would. And it may be limited to that particular region itself, which is this particular country. That is something which we are not concentrating upon. Libya took place, and other things, all of these conflicts took place, and I'm sure you've been in all of these conflicting areas, and you should know most that who gains most. These are the only two groups who gain more. The citizens lose. And that is the reason why we should be concerned about this particular issue. How we can resolve this to ensure. And I would say, hats off to the Prime Minister. Both these panelists up here are considering that Prime Minister or this particular government has been soft. I think it's a question of being soft. It's a question of taking it stepwise. If at the first step, consider that we would have forced these Rohingyas out, imagine what would have happened to the image of this particular nation. We would have been cornered like nobody's business. The first step strategically was right. Even the second step, imagine the concentration of population that is residing in Chittagong right now. Let us not forget, density of population in this particular country is higher than any of the nations that you actually brought about, the examples that you came in with. Entirely different from that of others. And we've got to bear that particular thing in mind. My particular duty is foremost to my nation first. I'm selfish, and I should be selfish. And then I'll look into the next part of it. That is how I look into it.
Thank you, Professor Farhad Anwar, to remind us the America First policy. Thank you. Yes.
Professor Dr. Aminuddin Mirida. I'm a former professor of Chittagong University and ex-vice chancellor of Pabna University of Science and Technology. This session is discussed more about Rohingya than the other issues. That's good because it is a current issue for our country. Yeah, very focused. But we should not take only the Rohingya issue. We have a lot of conflicting issues in our country. So as Shamal Babu was saying, and also he was saying Rohingya. So Shamal Babu was saying some of the important point and practical point to our society. So firstly, I would like to congratulate Professor Husna Yara for her personal effort. She started this TMSS from long ago. And slowly, she has covered 55 lakhs stakeholders. And I congratulate her. Second thing, one point he was telling about the afforestation. As a botanist, I like the idea. Because of botanist, I like the idea. Afforestation is a very good technology. And it will, as she was saying, that it will reduce the conflict. And it will make a human habit in a happiness way. So if human beings are happy, then a conflict will be a little bit reduced. So in that case, I feel that the MSS is doing a very good job. I was talking one very small thing. Babu was saying about the technology, the mobile technology. I was having a class in one of our private universities. And then I saw that a student came without any pen, without any pencil, without any paper. They have only that smart device, and they are having some note on that device. And I told them that I was a student, not like you. Class teacher is having class, and he is showing something in the board. So you are watching your smart device, so how you will get the class? So the technology has got a tremendous value in our life, but I feel that it has some negative impact also. He did not write anything from the classroom. I think he will not be able to learn much. I was in Saudi Arabia. Bangladesh is working in Saudi Arabia. Our labor is getting 550 real. And labor from other countries is getting 800 and above. Because their government is pursuing that if you want to take labor from us, you have to pay more. But our Bangladeshi counterpart so active. Because of that, they are serving very poor condition, which I saw when I was in Saudi Arabia. This is one type of conflict. One issue conflicting between the panelists and the Farooq Bhai about the Rohingya issue. To me, the Rohingya issue is, and Burma also, because as Shamal Babu was saying, he's from Chittagong, and the man, he is also from Chittagong. Many of the people, their forefather went to Burma. So the Burmese saying that they are not originally Burmese, they are Bangladeshi. They should not have right to stay in Burma. And another point, probably because of religious. So, and this problem is not only between the Bangladesh and Burma. This is an international issue now. It will be solved immediately. The country like us, as that brother was saying, we cannot afford 1 million people. Our country is very small. Our resources is very small. And every day, the agricultural land is reducing and production of food is decreasing. Onion, rice, so many things, the vegetables, we are in shortage. That this is because of Rohingya or not, because Rohingya, although they are getting, maybe they're getting money from outside, but we have to give them rice, sugar, everything we have to give from our share, although they're paying. But now the vegetable is not less than 80 or 100 taka per kg in each and every vegetables. This time, I think other year it was little bit low. So because of that, this is not an issue of ourselves, it's issue of international. We have to get this international issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think we are going to close it. This is the time is also right on time. I think we are very lucky that we finished on time. Rarely it happens. I thank everyone who participated. I think this was a lively issue, and there are many issues that has come up. Obviously, we wanted to hear, for the benefit of our participants, different perspectives, and I think they will take these issues in their mind so that they can develop their own research issues and look into the agendas. Quite a lot of issues that the panelists have mentioned. Some of them could be anecdotal, but needs good research to prove and provide evidence. Thank you. Thank you very much for having here. Let me also use this opportunity to thank all of the staff of UNICEF Bangladesh who has been working last 15 to 20 days to make these particular events success. And let me apologize if there are any lapses. I know there are quite a few lapses that has happened. Obviously, we were all novice in the sense that this is one of the first international conference event that we organized. So I apologize if there are inconvenience, but please let the volunteers know if you need anything. Thank you very much. The prayers is available, room is available on the ground floor. So just for you to let, if they are looking for prayer rooms, this is available on the ground floor. Thank you. Thank you very much.